I'm not really from the blogging, internet type of generation. I'm kind of old school. And I suppose all that stuff really has some value to it. But as I wrote recently, it really just burdens my heart, you know. You see all these young men blogging and fighting over theological nuances. And in a way, many of them haven't lived long enough to even know or at least experience what they're talking about. And we'll sit there and we'll fill up the internet with this kind of stuff when there's literally billions of people who have not heard the gospel. I mean, it's insane. If you're listening to this and you're a young man, this is probably not your time to write a book and change the world or have a blog that gets hits from all over the planet. This is your time to prepare yourself to become a man of God. Not to be on the internet, but to be alone with God in prayer until He pours out His Spirit on you and makes you a useful servant. And then go out and don't be involved in pouring water on a land that's saturated. Go out with your life and preach the gospel to the nations that don't know Christ. Why be alive? The need is tremendous. But I'm not going to tell you that the need is so tremendous and God won't get it done without you. God will get it done without you. But what a loss. What a loss of joy. I invite you to a life of just real sacrifice and a life of joy unspeakable and full of glory. Some of you young men, you need to think about this. You need to think about going out there and preaching the gospel, suffering for Christ and relishing that suffering. Now, I'm 49 years old and my body is broken into a million pieces. Like Robert Murray McShane said, you know, the Lord gave me a message and a horse, and I've killed the horse. And I feel that way, but I can tell you this, I'm glad. I'm glad. He's worth dying for, young men. And don't waste your life. Get out there and preach the gospel. Go to the fields. Go to the places where it's dark. Preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. You know, right now, I'm just rejoicing in what God's doing in India and Nepal, but there's Tibet. You know, I ask God, when are you going to open the door for Tibet? And China? And when are you going to open the door for Mongolia? Young men, go somewhere and die, that only God and hell will know your name. God because He loves you, and His Spirit is powerful upon you, and hell because hell hates you. Go somewhere and preach the gospel. You know, I sometimes read the Puritans and Martin Lloyd-Jones and Charles Spurgeon, and then I look at the modern day preachers that we have been so blessed with. You know, men like John MacArthur and John Piper, and so many brilliant men. And all these men, they're older men, and they've studied a lot, and God's given them a voice. Young men, don't try to be them, at least not now. Go somewhere where John MacArthur and John Piper are not, and preach the gospel and pray and intercede.